Coming up, Joe Biden is now President of the United States. Why this moment is historic and what his administration's plans are. Plus, how the Syracuse community is reacting to an alumnus of SU holding the highest office in the land. And President Trump's post-presidency plans may be complicated. All of that and more. Citrus TV's Talking Points Special Inauguration Webisode starts right now. Hello and welcome into this special inauguration webisode of Talking Points. I'm Oscar Offerman. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. was just inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States, and Kamala Harris became the first woman to become Vice President. In his inauguration speech, President Biden spoke about coming together as one nation to face the many crises facing the country right now. Today's inauguration looked markedly different from previous years, with heightened security due to concerns following the events of January 6th. Other inauguration traditions have been canceled or changed due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Talking Points contributor Benjamin Schiller has more.
SU Law School alum Joseph R. Biden Jr. became the 46th President of the United States when he was sworn into office Wednesday morning. Biden is joined in the White House by California Senator Kamala Harris, who is the first person of color, Asian American, and female to be elected vice president. Inauguration Day looked different this year when Biden and Harris took the oath of office on Capitol Hill. Washington, D.C. was fortified with tall fences and National Guardsmen because of national security threats, and the streets were empty due to the pandemic. Public officials urged Americans to stay home this year.
I want to reiterate my request to Americans to enjoy this 59th inauguration of the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States from home.
Traditionally, Inauguration Day morning is headlined by the outgoing president and First Lady greeting the incoming president and spouse at the White House. In a rare decision, President Donald Trump became the first president since Andrew Johnson in 1869 to skip the ceremony. The inaugural ball, dinners, and receptions were also scrapped or moved to a virtual setting. However, the swearing-in ceremony took place, but was filled with mask-wearing and socially distanced politicians and presidential families. As the 20th Amendment of the United States Constitution states, the president and vice president were sworn in just before noon and officially began their term. In a time of uncertainty, President Biden said before Wednesday that he was not concerned about security and health issues surrounding the events.
I'm not afraid of taking the oath outside, and we've been getting briefed.
After taking the oath of office, Biden addressed the nation and talks about uniting the country. Following the ceremony, a primetime celebration followed with performances and speeches and closed out this unprecedented Inauguration Day. Reporting in Florida, Benjamin Schiller, Citrus TV News.
Thanks, Ben. Now, the Capitol Hill riots on January 6th have left many feeling uneasy leading up to President Biden's Inauguration Day, with increased security and President Trump's notable absence. Talking Points contributor Nicole Aponte spoke to first-time voters who expressed their concerns about what they think could have happened.
As long as he's not hurt, he's going to be president. There's nothing that can stand in the way of that. I think there is going to be a lot of pushback, and I think there could be, some riots and more riots that happen. I am worried about just the reaction people are going to have as soon, even though it's been set in stone, when he actually becomes president, I'm worried about what people are going to do.
A little bit concerning seeing that he's not attending the inauguration, because that's sort of a tradition that's been a part of our country for God knows how long. And I hope and I have faith that the government will handle the inauguration safely. I don't think there's going to be any issues.
I know that there's a lot with everything going on in Washington. It does seem a little bit scary, but I'm just hoping for the best.
Thanks, Nicole. Changes to the inauguration because of COVID and security concerns also led to changes in reporting from major outlets. Citrus TV spoke with Scott Macfarlane, a Syracuse alum and reporter at NBC4 Washington, about these changes.
It's a local story for us too. It's happening in our town. So is the parade. So are the concerts. So are the things that go around an inauguration. There's fewer things than there used to be because of the pandemic. I'll be in studio. I otherwise wouldn't be, but it's just safer and more efficient to have me on the air in the building. In any other context, I'd be along the parade route doing this job or on the lawn doing this job. But because we have to distance, there are so few people permitted out on the parade route, permitted near the Capitol, that it's either you go into the newsroom or you're going to have to go from your home. Security threats don't stop tomorrow after people leave the west front of the Capitol. The security threats that we all experienced 2 weeks ago will persist. And when everybody lets their guard down, they're more likely to resurface.
President Biden is the first president ever to have attended Syracuse University. Biden graduated from Syracuse Law School back in 1968. Talking Points contributor Ricky Sayer spoke with New York Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, another SU alum, about the significance of this moment.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
The eyes of the world are turning on a Syracuse University graduate.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The inauguration coming at a time of turmoil.
And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
It's just this sigh of relief.
First-year Syracuse law student Devin Miller says he's encouraged by Biden's message.
I like the idea that he came from where I'm sitting to where he is and didn't have to compromise his moral value to do it.
He says Biden has certainly left a strong legacy.
You know Joe Biden. It's Uncle Joe. It's kind of there's a certain reverence you give when you hear his name. See his picture in a yearbook.
That yearbook photo still hanging up on the law school's 5-year-old building. Biden graduated in 1968.
He's my first president, let's put it that way.
82-year-old Thomas Maroney was one of Biden's professors. They've kept in touch.
It says, Tom, you are the very best. Thank you for having confidence in me so very long ago.
He likes to think he was part of Biden's success. Seeing him take the oath of office?
It was unbelievable and it was terrific.
It is a big day for all of us.
New York Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul graduated SU as an undergrad.
Well, we're all so proud today. To have Joe Biden as our president, and he's proud of his connections with the university, the fact that he went there, his son went there.
Biden is the first Syracuse University graduate to reach the presidency.
Do you hope this inspires other SU students to try and follow in President Biden's footsteps?
Oh, I think it will. I think you need to see the possibilities. You need to know that you don't need an Ivy League degree in order to enter the halls of the White House.
Hochul told us that anyone with heart and passion for public service, coupled with the right educators, then anything is possible. Reporting on Inauguration Day, Ricky Sayer, CitrusTV News.
Thanks, Ricky. Now former President Donald Trump became just the fourth outgoing president in American history to not attend the inauguration of his successor, and the first in over 150 years. Talking Points contributor Jesse Cook has more.
In the early hours of March 4th, 1801, President John Adams left the newly built city of Washington, D.C. under the cover of nightfall over empty streets. His inauspicious departure would eventually take him back to his home, this house here in what is now Quincy, Massachusetts. Adams was the first president to ever lose a bid for re-election, and he would become the first president to ever refuse to attend the inauguration of his successor, his rival, Thomas Jefferson. 28 years later, Adams' son, John Quincy Adams, would do the same exact thing by refusing to attend the inauguration of his successor, his rival, Andrew Jackson. Today, President Donald Trump is the third president in U.S. history to refuse to attend the inauguration of his successor after losing a bid for re-election. His successor is, of course, his rival, Joe Biden. Several hours before now President Biden took the oath of office, President Trump left Washington, D.C. Reporting from the Adams House in Quincy, Massachusetts, I'm Jesse Cook.
Thanks, Jesse. President Biden will certainly have a lot on his plate in the early days of his presidency, especially the coronavirus pandemic and vaccine rollout. Talking Points contributor Yaw Bonsu explains how the Biden administration will tackle these problems.
I sought this office to restore the soul of America, to rebuild the backbone of this nation.
Today, Joe Biden was officially inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States. The question now, what will Biden do to change America? Whether it's
making rapid testing widely available, more widely available, much more widely available, and building a core of contact tracers who will track and curb this disease while we prioritize getting vaccines first to the most at-risk populations.
Or
invigorating our domestic and democratic institutions, carrying out equal justice under the law in America.
Citrus TV spoke to political science professors across Syracuse University to get a better understanding of what Americans could expect.
Well, the first three priorities of the new administration are going to be COVID, COVID, and COVID. And so what we can expect, first of all, I think, is a flurry of initiatives, both to help the vaccine get more widely spread and make the rollout more successful, hopefully.
The pandemic, we hope, is not going to last forever. So after the dust settles, what do you think is next in terms of Biden's plans?
The battle against global warming. And so the Trump administration had rolled back some of the things that the country was involved in, either in terms of international agreements or just initiatives here at home. And I think you'll see a re-emphasis on that particular issue.
I think it's going to increase also a push for more economic equality that the Biden-Harris administration has talked about. So part of the kind of new COVID relief plan that they're pitching, that in a speech last week, was partially increasing the minimum wage. So these kinds of policies that are geared toward the middle class and trying to lessen economic inequality are ones that we should see relatively quickly, but also into the long term.
Yaw Bonsu, Citrus TV News.
Thanks, Yao. And President Trump left Washington early this morning and landed in Florida just before the inauguration. Trump plans on living in his estate at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, but a deal made with Palm Beach County, Florida may complicate this. Talking Points contributor Lindsey Fine has more.
Today, Donald Trump officially became a former president, and his post-office life looks a little different from his predecessors. For one, he does not know for certain where he's going to call home. Before President Biden's inauguration, Trump took his last ride in Air Force One to Mar-a-Lago, his private resort club in Palm Beach, Florida. According to Bloomberg, Trump plans on making the resort his permanent residence now that he is no longer in office. But because of an agreement he made with the city of Palm Beach in the early 90s, the property was officially changed from Trump's personal residence to a private club. The agreement also says that club guests cannot stay at Mar-a-Lago for more than a total of 21 days per year and cannot stay at the club for more than 7 continuous days. It also stipulates that no one is allowed to declare the resort as their permanent residence. In the negotiations of this deal, the lawyer representing Trump explicitly said that Trump will never call Mar-a-Lago his permanent residence. So the question now facing Palm Beach County officials is if they should allow Trump to officially call Mar-a-Lago home.
And Lindsey Fine joins me now from Palm Beach County, Florida. Lindsey, has there been any word from officials down there on their plans?
Yeah, so Palm Beach City officials right now said that they're going to wait and see what President Trump officially announces as his plans on where he wants to live in the future before they make their decision on whether or not he can live at Mar-a-Lago.
Now, Lindsey, I know he has a lot of neighbors down there in Palm Beach. What are they saying about this situation, if anything?
Yeah, so his neighbors definitely don't want him to live there permanently. They've signed countless petitions and used attorneys to approach city officials about President Trump's living situation. They don't want him living at Mar-a-Lago for several reasons. One being just holding the city accountable for the deals and the decisions that they've made in the past, and also just for convenience purposes. When President Trump visited, and if he lives here in the future, traffic is always congested. It's a very one-way road. And there's a lot more police presence and just security measures that the residents have to go through, and they don't want to have to deal with that.
Now, President Trump has been adamant about making Mar-a-Lago his permanent residence. Now, judging by all of this, do you think Trump will be living in Mar-a-Lago long term?
It's hard to say right now because we don't know what the officials are saying. But because they haven't come out yet and said that he isn't going to be allowed to live there, I think if President Trump comes out and says, I want to live at Mar-a-Lago full time, I'm willing to go through all the necessary paperwork and pay the different tax levels, I think that they're going to let him live there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Trump calls Mar-a-Lago his permanent home for the rest of his life, or at least for the foreseeable future.
Well, it certainly will be interesting to see how all of this plays out. Lindsey Fine, thank you. And that's all the time we have for this webisode edition of Talking Points. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at CitrusTV News. I'm Oscar Offerman. Have a great night.